I'm Starborn. Remember, to be a star, you have to shine your own light, follow your own path, and not be afraid of the darkness, because that's when stars shine brightest. If you've been looking at our website, starborninstitute.org, you'd already know that the title of tonight's show is Coming to a Head. And what could that be? That could be some type of a controversy this week that you may be involved in, or you may know others who are involved in it, because we are having a very potent full moon on Sunday at 17 degrees of Leo. And there are 4 planets in a harsh T-cross among fixed signs at the time. And so that can be putting a lot of pressure on people because fixed signs don't budge. And so the full moon will be in Leo on Sunday at 17 degrees, and it will be opposed by the sun at 17 degrees of Aquarius, which rules the future, and by Saturn, which is also in the sign. And these 3 planets in the fixed signs are all being harshly squared by Uranus in Taurus. And all the planets are direct right now. Uranus is a malefic planet in a fixed financial sign, and Saturn is a malefic planet in the sign of the future. So what could be going on under the pressure of these 4 planets in fixed signs under the full moon? Well, first of all, we know that under any full moon, the moon opposes the sun. And since the lights are about as far apart as they can be, it simply means that full moons denote a period of indecision or confusion. So there's that just naturally going on. And then I think that there can be some controversy coming to a head among people with very large egos who are not agreeing about money. And that's because Uranus is in Taurus, a fixed financial sign. And I think that the pressure can be found in a lot of different ways. It could be found among your employer, who's sort of having to decide what to do about their budgets, particularly if for some reason there is a recession coming up. I mean, if there is one, employers would be really worried about that and probably looking at their budgets and, talking it over and trying to decide what to do. Or it could be that whole governments are upset with each other, or there can be controversy within a government, and it could be about the amount of debt that a country is carrying. Oh, that could be a big controversy right now, and that could be coming to a head. Or it could be that there are leaders around, people who are the heads of large corporations, government agencies, or whole countries or institutions, and they've got their mind focused on money in one way or another, and that can lead to something that's got to come to a head. Maybe it's just going to be about budgets, but I do think that there are big egos around that can be fighting about money at this time. And what will that lead to? Well, I think that the pressure will just continue to build and may sort of reach its height when the full moon takes effect on Sunday or over the weekend. Because one person, let's just say it's a person who represents a company or an institution or a country, one person can want a lot of money for one reason or another. And the other person can be saying, well, at one time we might have been able to arrange that, but not now, because due to the ups and downs in the financial markets, due to the fluctuation of values in investments. That's what Taurus rules, investments. And Uranus is the planet of sudden surprising change. And so that's why there's a lot of pressure, why something is coming to a head, because one person wants more money than another person or entity. And that's sort of what the fight is about. So, where will this all lead? Well, there are other things going on in the heavens, thank heavens. And that is because there are 3 good planets in the air signs right now. And that's because that very same Sun and Saturn in Aquarius are trining Mars in Gemini, which rules communication. And together those three planets are trining the sign of Libra, which rules negotiation and compromise and diplomacy and partnership, and it also rules the law and legal contracts. So it can be even that there are some people that are either contemplating a lawsuit or are in a lawsuit about a financial matter. And one person wants more money, and the other person is saying, well, that might have been okay a while back, but now the value of things has changed and it's not my fault. And that's true. I mean, individuals are not responsible for how the financial markets have been working lately, or for how great a country's debt is, or what the creditors are doing right now. But so it can be on a personal level because you're involved with some sort of debt, or it can be because interest rates are too high, or it can be because inflation is not coming down, certainly not back to anything that people can live with, because if you go to the grocery store, you know you're paying an awful lot right now. So there is the possibility that there can be a peaceful negotiation or settlement that could still occur. And I don't think it's going to occur right during the time of the full moon, but it could be coming up. And the reason why is because those three planets in the air signs encourage negotiation, so that's good. But there are another three planets in the earth signs, because that very same Uranus that's sort of stirring up trouble financially is being trined by Mercury and Pluto in Capricorn. And Capricorn does rule large companies and government agencies and institutions and the people who head them. And so, as I said, a lot of corporations are looking forward and thinking that they've got to tighten their belts a little bit in order to make it through softer economic times in the new year. And they could be absolutely right about that. And so this is a time when I think a peaceful resolution of something that's coming to a head, maybe in your life, can be made by taking two good steps right now. And that's relying on the trine in the air signs and in the earth signs. Because on Sunday, that full moon in Leo, I think it does denote a parting of the ways in a relationship, whether it's a personal relationship, a business relationship, a government relationship, whatever it is. I think that full moon is denoting a parting of the ways in a relationship due to irreconcilable differences about money. In other words, remember, one side wants more money, and the other side is saying, no, because it's not around there and it's not here anymore. You know, things have changed. And so I think that if you wanted to bring about a peaceful resolution to something like that, instead of continuing to fight about it, because fighting doesn't get anybody anywhere. I mean, all you're going to get if you continue fighting is zero. And it could really go against you for continuing to fight instead of being willing to settle. So there is the possibility that you may be able, under the influence of these very good planets in air signs that denote better communication, you may be able to negotiate a fair amount of money that could be paid. It wouldn't be everything you wanted, but it could be a fair amount of money. So you could negotiate the amount that you're both talking about. And it wouldn't be what you wanted before or want now, but it would be better than nothing. And so you could do that. And I think both sides would be willing to negotiate what the settlement amount could be. And then because there's a trine in the earth signs, it means that if you took, if you were willing, after you settled on the amount, if you were willing to set up a realistic payment schedule, then that could really be very good for you. because then you would be able to rely on steady payments coming in. They may not be as big as you had anticipated at first, but at least they would give you a steady stream of income if you're willing to settle financial controversy that would not give you everything that you wanted, but would settle it and would give you something and would do it on a steady payment basis. Now that's good, because once you know that you can get a steady payment going or receive a steady payment from somebody, then you can go ahead and enlarge your income in other ways as well. And you may end up doing just as well. So this is a time when, if you take these preliminary steps of negotiating a fair amount, settlement amount, and also being very realistic about a steady payment schedule that you both agree to, then you will be able to move on. And why is that so important right now? Why is it really, something really is coming to a head and it's got to be settled? And the reason why is that the full moon is on February 5th at 17 degrees of Leo, under harsh aspects, a harsh T-cross. But if you could possibly negotiate a fair payment amount and set up a steady payment schedule so that you don't have to argue anymore, and each entity can go their own way and do what they want to do, that's pretty nice. It simply means that it would be setting you up for two wonderful things that could be coming up. One of them is that on Valentine's Day, February 14th, now that full moon is on February 5th, but on Valentine's Day, on February 14th, Venus and Neptune in Pisces will conjunct, which doubles their strength. Venus is a peacemaking planet and a partnership planet, and Neptune can be full of dreams and high idealism. So, if you could get things settled before Valentine's Day, each of you could go your own way and have a pretty nice Valentine's Day. But if that isn't in the cards, but you're still willing to work on, agreeing on a fair payment schedule and on a fair amount, then we are having a new moon on February 20th in Pisces. And it is a wonderful new moon. And all the planets are direct. And so that means that if you can settle your differences now, and if you can settle for less, but have a pretty good guarantee that you're going to get it steadily over time, then that could really free you up to do exactly what else you want in your life. And the new moon on February 20th at 1 degree of Pisces denotes the ability, since all the planets are direct, for a delayed dream to come true. And why would you want to stand in the way of that? That would be great. And so this is a time, if there's a lot of pressure, financial pressure on you one way or another, or on your employer or on people you know, and it's coming to a head, I wouldn't waste a lot of time in argument. I think you should spend a little more time settling it. Because it's very much to your advantage, and it could open up a way for you to make a delayed dream come true by the new moon in February in Pisces. So I hope you think about that. Okay, what does this mean to all 12 of the sun signs? Aries. Well, Aries, that full moon on Sunday at 17 degrees of Leo is trining Jupiter in your sign, Aries. I bet you do have something new that you would like to get underway, but you might be wondering if you can afford it. Or you might be thinking, well, I was promised a certain amount of money, I'll keep arguing until I get it. Well, that's not going to happen, Aries. You want to keep arguing, you won't get it. We've got to all get over the argument stage, and we've got to get on to, not succumbing to a lot of pressure in arguing about money, but instead try to negotiate a fair amount. whoever thinks that somebody else owes them some money is going to have to settle for less. And that's because there is so much pressure among the 4 planets in the fixed signs, and 2 of them are malefic planets, Saturn and Uranus, which are both squaring each other. So, you know, we're all going to have to be a little more adept at redefining our future plans based on smaller budgets, or what we can really afford easily. Well, there's nothing wrong with that, Aries, and you have Jupiter in your sign. I think that you will be perpetually enthusiastic about things throughout the whole spring, because it will be in your sign until May. It's just that I don't think you should waste your time arguing with anybody about money. It's too late for that. If anything, the world is a little short of money right now. And that goes throughout the world. So economists are talking about the possibility of a global recession. They're not saying whether it would be a big one or a small one, but ooh, that R word, recession, who wants to live with that? Only we are sort of living with that, because all of our budgets are receding, and that's because they're not, due to high inflation, we're not able to buy the things we used to be able to buy. And high interest rates for people that are carrying debt on their credit cards, that's hurting them too. So all of us have got to find a way, you know, to be more agreeable about financial terms. And so I hope you are, Aries, because with Jupiter in your sign, you have so much more to gain this spring. If you get over the controversy stage, and if you can agree to a smaller amount of something and get it on a steady payment basis, you are free to go and do what you want. And I would say you could be very successful this spring, Aries. In fact, wildly successful, if you would settle for less and get over a financial controversy. Because things that are coming to a head, it's sort of like they're just going to boil over. They're not going to solve anything. And we've got to get into the solution stage, not the argument stage. So good luck. Okay, what does it mean to a Taurus? Taurus. Well, Taurus, that Uranus in your sign is sort of a little troublemaker, because it's going to be squaring the full moon on Sunday in Leo. And so there's definitely, it's either you or somebody else is going to want more money, and it's not going to happen, Taurus. So you're going to have to adjust your sights a little bit, because Saturn and the Sun in Aquarius, which rules our future plans, are also squaring Uranus in your sign. And Saturn's a malefic planet, and so is Uranus. And so you may be involved, Taurus, in one way or another, in something that is a financial controversy that is sort of coming to a head. And it can denote the end of a relationship due to irreconcilable differences about money. Okay, but if you can get over that, Taurus, you could succeed by being a little bit more realistic about getting some money, and you could do it. Because there are 3 planets in the Earth signs trining each other. So that very same Uranus in your sign is actually being trined by Mercury, the planet of the mind and communication, and Pluto in Capricorn. And the minute that you decide to sort of settle some sort of financial controversy, even if you have to settle for less, and get it on a payment schedule of some sort, that as soon as you do that, Taurus, you are on your way to bigger and better things. And you are going to have the backing of somebody pretty influential or important. In other words, if the financial problem was, say, with your employer in one way or another, or with a large debt account, or some kind of debt that you've run up, it is so much better to settle it, because Pluto in Capricorn, which has been trining your sun for years and is now direct instead of the way it was retrograde for a long time, but now it's direct, simply means that you could change careers. You could go from one career and settle whatever controversy you have there, and walk right into another career in a large corporation, government agency, or in an institution because you could gain favor from somebody pretty close to the top. That's what Pluto represents, people in power. And so you could do that, Taurus. So you have a choice. You can continue fighting about the nitty-gritty, or you can settle something and be off. And you could be on to better things. You should really think about that, because fighting isn't going to settle anything, so nobody wins. But if you do settle something, even if it's for less, you can be setting yourself up for one of the best years you've ever had in your life, and that is because Jupiter is coming into your sun sign in May. And it's only there once every 12 years. So you have to think of what you can gain, not what you're losing. Because whatever you're not getting right now is probably not worth fighting over for very much longer, because it's preventing you from having a better future. So I wish you'd think about that a little bit. Okay, what does it mean to a Gemini? Gemini. Well, Gemini, remember, people can come to a peaceful resolution about some matter that's coming to a head if they decide to negotiate. And they can negotiate a smaller payment amount, or it can be that they can understand that there's a setback somewhere, but they can agree to work within that smaller parameters of a setback, but still keep going forward. So Gemini, Mars in your sign is being trine by the Sun and Saturn in Aquarius, which is very good. You're in a position where even if you were in some sort of controversy, which I actually don't think you are, Gemini, but I think it's around you. I think it involves somebody else that you know, and or it could be your employer. But the thing is, if you negotiate or help others negotiate to sort of settle for less right now, it is going to be sort of a feather in your cap. And your sign rules part-time or temporary things. You could even cut back some of your activities in one area, and that would give you enough time to enlarge your activities in another area. You wouldn't really be losing anything. You would just be sort of switching over. So you could do that. You could maintain something you're doing, but perhaps at a little smaller or shorter pace, or slower pace, and then you could also take on something else. So the future's looking actually pretty bright for you, Gemini. It's going to be a little brighter as soon as Mars leaves your sign, and that will be in March. But for right now, as long as you've sort of decided that you're open to negotiation, and even if the negotiation results in something that's a little smaller than you wanted, don't worry, Gemini. Gemini is the sign of versatility and flexibility. It's not going to stop you from picking up something else you can do as well. I think you'll still be fine. Okay, what does it mean to a Cancer? Cancer. Well, this is a time, Cancer, when you have a lot to look forward to. And the reason why is that you're a little bit, you're not going to be hurt by the force of this harsh T-cross among fixed signs. But it is happening, that full moon in Leo is happening right in front of your sun sign. So you may be, you may know of people that are arguing about some financial matter that's coming to a head, and that represents the breakup of a relationship due to irreconcilable differences about money. Okay, you may know somebody like that, Cancer. And if you do, you might be a sort of a guiding light behind the scenes that can help work something out. It may not even work it out for yourself personally, but it might, whatever organization or business you're with, or government agency, or any group that you belong to, maybe you'd be able to help them work something out. And that would be to agree on a lower payment schedule, a lower payment amount, and a steady payment schedule over time, something that is more realistic. So you could be instrumental in that, but actually, Cancer, You can choose to participate or not in something like that, or to be a guiding light behind the scenes. Okay. But actually, I think you're going to have a great Valentine's Day. And that is because Venus is going to conjunct Neptune in Pisces and trine your sun on Valentine's Day. And that is a aspect of great happiness. It might happen behind the scenes because Pisces rules things behind the scenes, but it's going to trine your sun. So it's going to be pretty nice for you, Cancer. And then the next new moon is in Pisces, and it represents the ability to make a delayed dream come true, and I think that's going to be happening to you too. So you can participate with others that have got to sort of renegotiate something and accept less money, because markets have changed and values in investments have fluctuated. And so it's not any one person's fault that there isn't that much money around anymore. It's that everybody has to deal with that. Everybody has to. And so the sooner that things get settled, the better. And you have better things to look forward to, Cancer. So I think you're going to have a great February. Congratulations. Okay, what does it mean to a Leo? Leo, that full moon on Sunday is in your sun sign at 17 degrees. And so that means that the moon in your sign is being opposed by the sun in Aquarius, also at 17 degrees. And since the lights are exactly opposing each other, that is an indication of indecision or confusion that you could have. And it could be about your future plans. Aquarius rules the future, and Saturn is also opposing your sun because it's in Aquarius. And your future plans could more or less depend on money that you want, or that you think you've been promised, or that you think you're due. And so you could be a person that is involved in a financial argument that's sort of coming to a head right now. And that is because Uranus in Taurus is squaring not only the sun and the full moon in your sign, your sun and the full moon in your sign on Sunday, but it's also squaring the sun in Aquarius and Saturn in Aquarius. So you could be feeling threatened financially, because you could be thinking that somebody owes you a lot of money. And you could be absolutely convinced of that, Leo, and it wouldn't do you a bit of good, because the money's not there. And it's not another person's fault. It is the fault of the fluctuation in the value of investments. And nobody can help that. Companies can't help that, and governments can't help that. That's the way the world is right now. High inflation, high debt, high interest rates. This really can't go on. And so you don't want to really be involved in all that, do you, Leo? Particularly since Jupiter in Aries is trining your sun and will be until May. If you're in any kind of a financial controversy, you have got to throw in the towel, agree to settle it, and move on. And the reason why is that you have so many possibilities this spring for your own success, and particularly success in starting something new. If you can get over some sort of controversy that you are in right now, which means a parting of the ways in a relationship. Okay, why would you stay in a relationship that you were not happy in anyway? Who would do that? So just settle something and go on. And there can be the possibility of a peaceful settlement. It wouldn't give you everything you think you deserve, but it would give you something, and perhaps on a steady payment schedule that allows you to go out and conquer the world with that income coming in, and still having the ability to be free to create more income for yourself, or to get a better job somewhere else. Well, you have a lot to gain, Leo, by actually getting over some sort of financial controversy that really isn't any one person's fault. It's just that if you think somebody owes you a lot of money, you've got to realize that there isn't enough money around anymore. And it's not one person's fault. It's the economic climate that the world is in right now, that we're all affected by. And you know, Leos don't like to be, tied down to something. They like to go out and try new things. Your sign rules entrepreneurship. It rules starting new things. And Jupiter in Aries is trining your sun. I mean, I think you should sort of throw out the bad stuff and keep the good stuff right now. And Jupiter in Aries is definitely working in your favor. And it will be until May. So think it over, Leo. I mean, if you don't get what you want today, you could at least free yourself up to get something else you want tomorrow somewhere else. They say there's a pot of gold at the end of every rainbow. Well, I don't know if there is or not, but you need to go looking for that rather than arguing about something that you think somebody owes you, and when the money's not there, all you're going to do is perpetuate animosity, and a relationship will end sooner. But you won't have anything coming in from it, so why don't you settle instead? It could give you some income and your freedom. I think that's a good thing. Okay, what does it mean to a Virgo? Well, Virgo, this is a time, Virgo, since your sign rules analysis and very good problem solving, and it rules accounting. And there are 3 planets in the Earth signs. So that Uranus in Taurus, which is part of the problem this weekend under the full moon in Leo, is actually going forward now and trining your sun, which is very good. You should be somehow hearing of some good financial news, or there can be a good financial transaction somewhere, perhaps in your investments or in some property or somewhere around you that could represent good news coming your way. And it would be after quite a long delay. So I don't think that good news is coming to you this weekend because that Uranus in Taurus, which is trining your sun, is caught up in this harsh T-cross under the full moon. But the moon only stays in a sign for 2.5 days. That'll be over pretty soon. But it does represent arguments about money that are coming to a head. And it sure would be good if you were not involved in that, Virgo, because Mercury, your own ruler, and Pluto in Capricorn are trining your sun. There is a possibility, Virgo, that if someone else sort of moves on in an organization that you want to join or that you are already a member of, either in your work or in some sort of social group, there could be an opening for you, Virgo. And it would be because of your good hard work. Virgos are steady, very steady. Nothing, they don't skip steps. They just keep working. And so there could be an opening for you once the dust settles on a parting of the ways in a relationship where their differences are irreconcilable because one thinks that they should be paid a lot of money and the other one says, well, there isn't that much money anymore. So stay out of that if you can, Virgo, and just wait till the dust settles, because it's looking like your realistic way of doing things, and even in a somewhat modest way, can be very attractive. Once people get real tired of fighting, they could be thinking, well, gee, there's that Virgo. They don't argue, they just work. Well, that's good, Virgo. Let your good work record speak for itself right now. Could do you a lot of good. Okay, what does it mean to a Libra? Libra. This is a time, Libra, when actually you have quite a bit to look forward to. And the reason why is, first of all, your sign's not a fixed sign, so it isn't caught up in this tremendous tension and financial pressure that is being generated by the full moon in Leo on Sunday, with 4 planets in a harsh T-cross. And also, there's a trine in the air signs, and you really benefit from that, Libra, because the Sun and Saturn in Aquarius are trining your Sun, and they're both direct, And Mars in Gemini is also trining your sun, and it's direct. In fact, all the planets are direct right now. And so, Libra, you could be hearing about the possibilities, the future possibilities. I'm not saying that they're like on your doorstep right now, but they're nearby, Libra. You could be hearing about the possibilities for something that has to do with a creative project, or with even a part-time project, something that involves better communication and some sort of negotiation. Well, you're naturally good at that, Libra, because that's what your sign rules. But also it could have something to do with a project that involves some sort of beautification, because your sign is ruled by Venus, and Venus rules decorating, or Venus rules art. And so I think that there's a possibility that something involving those things is out there for you, Libra, and that you should be looking for that, because that could lead you toward a much happier future, which is good. And your ruler, Venus, is conjuncting Neptune in Pisces on Valentine's Day. It wouldn't surprise me at all, Libra, if you had a pretty good Valentine's Day. Even if you weren't expecting one, I think you could have one. And then that is leading up, because that's February 14th, that is leading up 6 days later to a new moon in Pisces, which is very good for everyone, because it can, on February 20th, it can denote the ability to make a delayed dream come true. And that too could benefit you, Libra. So I would say bide your time, be as tactful and charming as you can be, because your ruler is going through some good things right now, and it's going to get better. So that would have a very good effect on you. So try to be at your charming best. Okay, what does it mean to a Scorpio? Scorpio. Well, Scorpio, you will be affected by this full moon on Sunday in Leo. And that's because yours is a fixed sign. And so, oh boy, you don't have anything in your sign, Scorpio, but it's getting hammered anyway, because the full moon in Leo at 17 degrees on Sunday will be squaring your sun, and the sun and Saturn in Aquarius will also be squaring your sun, because they're doing that right now, and Uranus in Taurus will be opposing your sun sign, and it's doing that right now. And Uranus and Saturn are two malefic planets. So Scorpio, since yours is a fixed financial sign, it can be that you are directly involved in some financial controversy that is coming to a head and represents a parting of the ways in a relationship due to irreconcilable differences about a financial matter. Okay, so that sounds like something's ending, doesn't it, Scorpio? And it is. And, you know, you're not really causing it, but you can be involved in it in one way or another. Now, that could be somewhat unpleasant for you, because, you know, you could either be caught in the crossfire, or you could be a person that in some way in your job, or in a group you belong to, or in some sort of government agency that you deal with, you could be the person that somehow people want to be the spokesman to tell someone else who wants a lot of money that it's not going to happen, or they're not going to get as much as they want. You might be coming up against somebody who really wants the money, and you're going to have to say, no, it's not there, and it's not my fault. It's market conditions. And so, well, that could be a little trying, but Scorpio, you need to hold the thought of better days ahead, because they certainly are coming your way. And that is because on Valentine's Day, Venus and Neptune are going to conjunct in Pisces. This is very inspirational. This is very loving. And they're going to be trining your sun. So if you have to go through some things you don't like that are coming up under that full moon in Leo, just hold the thought that just by Valentine's Day things are going to be a lot better. Because even if you are not contemplating doing anything on Valentine's Day, at the same time there can be people around that really care about you. And in one way or another you may hear from them. And I think you're going to be sort of blessed on Valentine's Day because Venus and Neptune are conjuncting in Pisces and trining your sun. So that's what I mean by hold the thought, because your sign is getting hammered by this full moon in Leo. And I think you're going to have the disagreeable task of having to say to somebody, well, the money's not there. But remember, anybody can get to a peaceful resolution about a financial controversy if they agree to a smaller payment, a smaller financial amount, and they're realistic about setting up a payment schedule. And that's the trine of the air signs and the trine of the earth signs working, so that can be done. So anyway, by February 20th, when there is a new moon in Pisces trining your sun, you are really going to have the chance to make a delayed dream come true. And either you're making it come true for somebody else, or they might be making it come true for you. But that can happen in February. So remember, you have better things ahead of you, Scorpio. Hold that thought. Okay, what does it mean to a Sagittarian? Sagittarius. Well, you, like any other fire sign, can be blessed by having Jupiter in Aries trining your sun. And it's going to stay that way, Sagittarius, clear until May. So if you've got your mind on something new, it's exactly in the right place. You should be thinking about that. And the full moon in Leo at 17 degrees of Leo on Sunday does trine your sun. And so that's pretty good for you. You would have the moon trining your sun, and you would have Jupiter trining your sun from Aries. And so it might be, Sagittarius, that first of all, you may not be the person that's involved in this parting of the ways due to a fight about money. And Sagittarians are not known for having big egos. They're pretty high-minded people, but tolerant. It's a mutable sign. And so you may know what's going on around you, Sagittarius, but you may choose not to participate in any kind of a controversy right now, because you may have your mind on the future and on better things coming your way. That doesn't mean that you may not, that somebody might cry on your shoulder about their financial problems. They might do that. But I'm not so certain that you're going to have the financial problems, Sagittarius, unless you are thinking of doing something new and it's going to cost much more than you can afford. Okay, well, now that could get you in trouble. But otherwise, I don't think that you're going to be involved in directly involved in this clash of big egos that are fighting about money. So I think that as long as you can concentrate on what's coming down the road and new things that you want, Sagittarius, and sort of keep your blinders on and focus on that, and don't waste any time on anything else. Remember, Jupiter's only going to be trining your sun until May. So every day counts as far as you getting ahead on something new that you want to do. So stay focused on that if you can. and try to duck out of anything else that's not too pleasant around you. Just try to avoid it if you can. Okay, what does it mean to a Capricorn? Well, Capricorn, this is a time when reason prevails for you, which is good because Capricorns like to do things in a very organized manner, and they don't like to skip steps. And so you benefit from the fact that there are 3 planets in the earth signs and they're trining each other. So Uranus in Taurus, which is under a great deal of pressure this weekend because it's caught up in this mixture of 4 planets in fixed signs and a harsh T-cross. So there's financial problems going on somewhere. Still, that Uranus in Taurus is trining your sun. And so the financial problems may not be yours, Capricorn. You might hear about them, though. And you could hear about the fluctuation in the value of investments, and you could have some investments that are fluctuating. You can't change that right now. Those are fluctuating due to market conditions. They're not due to how you handle your finances. They're due to the way companies and governments are handling their finances. And everything's a little shaky right now. And Capricorns don't like that. And so Capricorn, with Uranus trining your sun from Taurus and being direct, you may actually be able to look over your money and decide that you might want to move it in one way or another to work a little harder for you. And you could do that. And so you might want to take advantage of higher interest rates that pay you something. That would be good. So you could move your money around that way. At the same time, Mercury in your sign and Pluto are now direct. And if you had been thinking of some sort of upgrade in a career, or a new career choice of yours, or even a new business that you want to open, this would be an excellent time for you to concentrate on that, Capricorn, because the preparation time always takes longer than anything else. And people just have to sort of prepare a little bit at a time, or find out information a little bit at a time. But they have to continually do that in order to finally succeed. And so just take it slow, Capricorn, but you might be able to make your money work better for you now than it has in the past. And you may be able to see some doors open that could help you launch some sort of new career of yours. That's entirely possible, because this year is a building year for you. But the rewards are coming next year. So you have a lot to look forward to, but you got to do it one step at a time, Capricorn. Okay, what does it mean to an Aquarian? Aquarius. This is a time, Aquarius, when you're going to feel this weekend. And I think that there is some sort of controversy that you may be involved with, and it may be something that is not new. It might have been around for a while. And that is because the full moon in Leo at 17 degrees on Sunday is going to oppose the sun in your sign, also at 17 degrees. But Saturn is in your sign as well. It has been for the last few years. And Saturn is a planet of time. And so all the planets are direct. So some financial matter that's been around for a while that you know about, or that you are connected to it in one way or another, can be coming to a head. And it is because Uranus in Taurus is squaring your sun, and the full moon in Leo is opposing your sun sign. So that's 4 planets in fixed signs. And you're going to have to deal with a financial matter that's been around for a long time, but you've known about it. It's not like it's a big surprise. And so it could have something to do with financial assets, or the value of something now, which has either gone up or it's gone down. And whichever way it's gone, it's got to be handled in some way. And you're going to have to be making some decisions. You may have even enjoyed financial benefits from something for a while, but because of the changing fluctuation in the value of investments, it might be that now you have to do something about that. I mean, if it's fallen a lot, maybe you shouldn't be hanging on to it. Maybe you should sort of get rid of it. Or if it has risen a lot, you could be contemplating much higher tax bills. And so either way, you'd have to handle it. And so, Aquarius, this is going to be a time when there could be a parting of the ways. If you're in any kind of financial controversy where one person thinks they should get more money than you think, or if you think you should get more money and no one else is agreeing with that, see, that's a controversy that could come to a head. The saving grace for you is that there is a planet in the air signs trining your sign, and that is that Mars in Gemini. And Mars is a malefic planet, but so is Saturn in your sign. But they're trining each other. They're working together. And since Mars is in a communication sign, it seems that you need to communicate more with others. Now, Aquarius, you may not have wanted to do that for one reason or another, but I think now you're going to have to. There may even be pressure from other people to get you to communicate, to get you talking about something that involves a financial matter a little bit more. I would do that if I were you, because it could be that people just want to hear from you and that they're willing to negotiate. I mean, because these planets, these two malefic planets are not hurting you. The one that's hurting you is Uranus and Taurus, because that can indicate a fluctuation in the value of things, which I think you need to address now, Aquarius, either because values have gone up and you owe a ton of taxes, or because values have gone down and you need to sort of let go of something. You will be affected by this full moon, and you will have to handle something. But I think you have a good chance of being able to negotiate something that will lead to a peaceful resolution if you want to. Okay, what does it mean to a Pisces? Pisces. Well, Pisces, you've got a lot to look forward to, and that is because the full moon in Leo on Sunday is not one of the things that you have to look forward to, but afterward you've got a lot to look forward to, Pisces. The full moon on Sunday does not directly aspect your sun sign, but it aspects the planets around your sun sign. So you might be involved, or you might know some other people who are fighting, and there could be a parting of the ways in a relationship that you know of because of irreconcilable differences about money. But Pisces, I don't exactly think it's your problem or that you're involved with it, but you could be very interested in how it turns out. You could be looking at that pretty closely, even if it did involve controversy that other people are involved with. And so what I mean by you having a lot to look forward to is that it may be wise for you to be as quiet as you can this weekend. And even if people sort of want to cry on your shoulder about something, or they want to lament about how unfair something is, I would be a little bit too busy if I were you, Pisces, or have a good excuse why you can't just sit there and listen to all that, because I don't think you're directly involved. I don't think you're mad at anybody, or I don't think anybody's necessarily mad at you, but there can be irreconcilable differences about money around you that you know about. And I would just say, if you get involved, it could sink you. So don't, because Pisces are gentle people, and this is a pretty hard-hitting full moon. I would stay away from the hard hitters, Pisces, if I was you. Just invent an excuse to be somewhere else. And so the reason why is because the full moon is on February 5th. But Valentine's Day is on February 14th. And Venus is going to conjunct Neptune in your sign on Valentine's Day. Even if you don't have a romantic interest in your life, I think you're going to have a romantic Valentine's Day, Pisces. At least I think you'll be pretty happy on that day for one reason or another. Maybe you have a secret admirer. Maybe they'll let you know that. Maybe you admire somebody else and you decide to let them know it. That's just fine. It's a very good conjunction of two wonderful planets, one of which is your ruler, Neptune, and the other is Venus. That could also designate a time around Valentine's Day when you get sort of serious about who you love or about a relationship. And that's good. You would be under wonderful aspects for that. And then, 6 days later, there is a new moon in your sign, a great one, on February 20th at 1 degree of Pisces. And because all the planets are direct this spring, it simply means, Pisces, that you have the ability to make a delayed dream come true. And it could come true in February. Because you can either make it happen, or possibly somebody is thinking of making it happen with you. But like I said, I would stay, keep your head down and do something on your own this weekend so that you're not involved in others' fights about money, because you have a lot to look forward to coming up, Pisces. And try to look your best and try to be at your best, because I think you're coming into what you might call a very lovable time, one way or another. And that would make you happy. So just look forward. All right. Thanks so much for tuning in. Remember, you can read the blog and see the show on our website, starborninstitute.org, or I would love to send it to you every Wednesday night at 8 p.m. if you and your friends would like to subscribe to it on my Karen Campbell YouTube channel. And until then, I'll see you next week. Bye.